Most people spend their lives weak, not because they lack strength, but because they cling to illusions that make them fragile. You think you want to be powerful, respected, unbreakable, yet you remain chained by morality, comfort, and the need for others' approval. This is the disease of being human. Today, I will show you how to cure it. This is not about becoming a better person. It is about becoming something greater, something beyond human. Do you know why you are weak? It is not your body. It is not your lack of talent. It is your obedience to illusions. You were taught to believe that goodness makes you strong, that honesty builds trust, that kindness earns loyalty. These are lies designed to keep you controlled. If you truly wish to become inhumanly strong, you must break those chains. The first step is to destroy the illusion of morality. You have been taught since birth that morality is the highest virtue, that to be good is to be strong, and that justice will protect you. But look around you. Those who preach morality the loudest are often the first to betray it, when their interests demand it. The powerful speak of honesty yet lie with every breath. They praise loyalty yet discard their closest allies when it no longer serves them. And yet, despite seeing these truths play out again and again, most men continue to believe in the illusion that morality grants security. This is why they remain weak, while others rise above them. To understand strength, you must first strip away the veil of morality and see it for what it truly is: a tool, a mask, a weapon used to control the masses. Those who cling to moral ideals with purity are destined to be used by those who understand their true function. A man who lives by rigid codes of right and wrong becomes predictable, and predictability is vulnerability. If your enemy can anticipate what you will and will not do, he already has power over you. That is why the illusion of morality must be shattered if you wish to walk the path of strength. Consider the nature of men in power. They appear to uphold justice, but in reality, their justice bends to their own advantage. They pass laws not for fairness but for control. They punish not to uphold order, but to secure obedience. To the common man, these laws appear as morality, but to the ruler, they are simply strategies. The weak accept morality as absolute truth, while the strong bend it as they see fit. Strength does not belong to those who serve morality, but to those who wield it as a cloak, while serving their own interests underneath. Ask yourself, what is morality when stripped of illusion? It is nothing more than a story told to maintain order. A ruler cannot govern by force alone, so he convinces his people that obeying him is righteous, that his commands are virtuous. In truth, morality is propaganda, a tool to pacify the many while empowering the few. When you see through this, you begin to understand why morality makes men weak. It chains them to ideals that others exploit. The man who clings to honesty in a world of liars will be deceived. The man who clings to mercy in a world of wolves will be devoured. Strength is not found in being moral or immoral, but in the ability to adapt, to wear morality like a mask when it serves you, and to discard it when it hinders you. To believe that goodness alone will earn you victory is to live in fantasy. The world rewards power, not virtue. A man who appears good may win the hearts of others, but a man who knows when to abandon goodness will win power over them. That is the distinction between being admired and being unbreakable. You must learn to see morality as an illusion designed to trap you. Do not mistake it for a shield that will protect you in times of danger. In truth, it is a chain placed around your neck, and those who understand its weakness will use it to drag you into the dirt. The powerful wear morality on their faces to appear trustworthy, but behind closed doors, they deal in deception, betrayal, and ruthless decisions. The masses worship their virtue, never realizing they are bowing before a mask. The moment you allow yourself to be guided by morality instead of results, you surrender your power. You become a servant to ideals that others do not respect. And what happens to servants? They are discarded when they no longer serve their master's purpose. To rise above the human weakness of clinging to morality, you must accept that strength is found in results, not in appearances of virtue. Morality is an illusion, and as long as you live inside it, you will remain human, fragile, predictable, and easily controlled. Second, strength is born in the mastery of fear and desire. Every man is ruled by two forces so deeply woven into his existence that he cannot escape them, fear and desire. These two masters dictate his every choice, his every betrayal, his every loyalty. The illusion that men act out of reason or morality is nothing more than a lie they tell themselves to justify their weakness. In truth, when a man chooses, it is not reason that decides. It is the fear of losing something or the desire to gain something. And if you want to become inhumanly strong, you must not only master your own fear and desire, but also learn to manipulate them in others until they dance to your will without even realizing it. Think of fear. It is the primal chain that keeps most men docile. Fear of poverty, fear of shame, fear of death, fear of standing alone. These fears govern their lives more tightly than any law or ruler ever could. A man may claim he acts from virtue, but strip away the mask and you will see his true motives. He is kind because he fears being hated. He is honest because he fears being caught in lies. He is loyal because he fears punishment or exile. Fear is the true architect of human behavior. To be stronger than men, you must break its hold over yourself. That does not mean you must become fearless. That is impossible. Fear is natural, but you must become master of it. Let fear whisper in your ear, but never let it dictate your hand. When danger looms, most retreat. The one who has mastered fear steps forward, and it is in that moment that he becomes more than human. Now consider desire. It is as enslaving as fear, though it wears a sweeter face. Men chase pleasure, wealth, recognition, love, and they call it ambition. But desire chains them as surely as iron shackles. They sell their freedom for comfort, betray their principles for gold, abandon their honor for affection. They think they are pursuing greatness, but they are merely running in circles, driven like cattle by cravings they do not control. To transcend this weakness, you must starve your desires until they serve you rather than rule you. The man who cannot say no to his own hunger will forever be the slave of those who feed it. But the man who controls when and how to satisfy desire becomes untouchable. He can endure deprivation without breaking, while others collapse at the mere thought of losing what they crave. Mastery of fear and desire does not stop with yourself. It extends to others. Once you free yourself from their tyranny, you can begin to wield them as tools. The crowd does not move because of reason, but because of what they fear and what they want. If you wish to lead them, do not waste time convincing them with logic. Instead, threaten their fears and promise their desires. Give them the illusion of safety when you need their obedience. Feed them the dream of reward when you want their loyalty. A ruler who understands this can command nations without lifting a sword. An ordinary man who understands this can dominate every room he enters. Imagine two leaders. One speaks of justice, morality, and noble ideals. The other whispers to his people that without him, they will be crushed by enemies. That with him, they will gain wealth, glory, and immortality in memory. The first appeals to their reason, the second to their fear and desire. Which will they follow? They will follow the second, because the first speaks to their mind, while the second speaks to their chains. That is the truth of power. Men are bound not by what they know, but by what they fear and what they crave. If you wish to rise beyond the human, you must embrace this cruel understanding. Do not pretend men are guided by wisdom or honor. See them as they are, creatures ruled by invisible strings, and learn to pull those strings with precision. And when it comes to yourself, cut those strings one by one until you no longer move because of fear or desire, but because of your will alone. Then, and only then, will you stand above the rest, no longer a man enslaved, but something greater, colder, untouchable. Third, you must wear masks. Humanity loves appearances. Strength does not belong to the man who wears his heart on his sleeve, nor to the one who reveals his intentions openly. The man who shows the world his true self invites attack, for transparency is weakness in a world where every eye is hunting advantage. To rise above the fragile state of being human, one must master the art of masks. Appearances are the battlefield on which power is won or lost, and those who fail to disguise themselves are swiftly devoured by those who understand the necessity of deception. A mask is not a lie, it is a weapon. It is a shield that conceals your motives and a lure that entices others to trust you. Men are creatures who judge by what they see. They do not penetrate beyond the surface. They are too occupied with their own illusions. If you appear virtuous, they will believe you are virtuous. If you appear loyal, they will trust your loyalty. They will not search for the dagger you keep hidden behind your smile. And that blindness is your advantage. To show yourself as you are, ruthless, ambitious, calculating, would only provoke fear and resistance. To appear the opposite ensures that your enemies lower their guard, while your allies cling to you willingly. Think of the wolf who dons the skin of a sheep. The flock welcomes him. The shepherd is deceived, and when the moment comes, he strikes. The foolish condemn such cunning, calling it dishonorable, but who survives longer? The wolf in disguise or the wolf who bares his teeth too early? Strength lies not in honesty of image, but in the control of image. Men fall not to swords but to illusions, and the man who crafts illusions better than others becomes master of their fate. The mask also grants freedom. When you wear one, you are not bound by expectations. You can shift, adapt, and change as the moment demands. To your allies, you appear steadfast. To your rivals, harmless. To the masses, noble. Yet beneath each of these masks, your true will remains untouched. You are no longer confined to a single role, no longer predictable. While others are prisoners of consistency, you become a chameleon, bending perception to your needs, surviving where the rigid perish. This necessity is most visible in leadership. A ruler cannot afford to be transparent. If he reveals that he governs only for power, his people will revolt. If he shows hesitation, they will abandon him. But if he masks his ambition in words of duty, justice, and sacrifice, they will not only obey but also defend him. It does not matter whether his heart burns with greed or cruelty. So long as his face wears the mask of virtue, he is untouchable. The people hunger for the appearance of goodness, not the reality of it. Therefore, the strong man provides them with what they wish to see, while taking what he truly desires. But the mask is not merely for others, it is also for yourself. To discipline your will, you must sometimes become the role you project. When you wear the mask of calm, you teach yourself control even in the storm. When you wear the mask of confidence, you silence your own doubt until it bends to your performance. By choosing your mask, you shape not only how others see you, but also how you sharpen yourself. In this way, the mask becomes more than deception. It becomes transformation. The weak despise masks, insisting on showing their true selves at all times. They cling to authenticity as if it were virtue. But what is authenticity in a world built on struggle? To bare your soul is to hand your enemy the map of your weaknesses. To reveal your desires is to invite manipulation. Those who boast of being transparent are nothing but easy prey, parading their vulnerabilities in front of hunters. The strong man does not make such mistakes. He hides his wounds, conceals his plans, and ensures that no one truly knows where his strength begins or where it ends. The necessity of masks is, therefore, not a matter of choice but of survival. To reject masks is to choose fragility. To embrace them is to ascend beyond the limits of ordinary men, who are enslaved by their own honesty. The mask is both weapon and armor, deception and discipline, illusion and reality. It is the tool that separates the human from the one who stands above humanity, untouchable in his secrecy, devastating in his revelation, when the time to strike finally comes. Fourth, there is no strength without discipline, the art of ruthless discipline. The ordinary man seeks ease. He craves comfort, softness, and the pleasures that numb his struggle. He will choose the bed over the cold ground, the feast over the fast, the distraction over the silence. This is why he remains ordinary. Discipline, ruthless and unyielding, is the dividing line between the weak, who submit to their cravings, and the few who rise above them. Strength that defies humanity is not born from talent or chance. It is carved from relentless self-mastery, the kind that strips away indulgence and forges a will sharper than steel. Discipline is not the practice of small habits for the sake of self-improvement. It is the rejection of weakness in every form. To live with ruthless discipline is to understand that every indulgence carries a cost. Every moment of comfort dulls your edge, and every surrender to laziness erodes your power. The human animal is naturally soft. He is drawn to what is easy, to what soothes him, to what makes him feel safe. But the path to becoming something greater demands the opposite. You must seek what is hard, what cuts, what isolates, what breaks most men so that it can make you unbreakable. The body is the first battlefield of discipline. If you cannot command your own flesh, you will never command anything beyond it. Force your body to obey your will, to endure hunger, cold, fatigue, and pain without complaint. The man who trains when he is tired, who resists when he is tempted, who endures when he is in agony, is no longer a mere man. He has bent his own nature to his will, and this is the essence of inhuman strength. Muscles may fade with time, but the discipline that forged them remains eternal. It is a power that cannot be taken, because it is rooted not in the body, but in the unyielding will that governs it. The mind, too, must be subjected to ruthless discipline. Most men allow their thoughts to scatter like leaves in the wind. They are distracted by every noise, seduced by every fleeting desire, crippled by doubt and hesitation. Their minds are their jailers, not their weapons. To rise above them, you must discipline your mind to cut through confusion, to focus like a blade on what matters, to silence the endless chatter of fear and uncertainty. The disciplined mind sees what others cannot, endures what others flee, and resists when others surrender. This mental clarity is the foundation of power, for no empire, no dominion, no lasting strength has ever been built by a mind that wavered. Discipline is ruthless because it demands sacrifice. You cannot cling to comfort and expect greatness. You cannot indulge in weakness and expect mastery. To embrace discipline is to embrace loss, the loss of ease, the loss of indulgence, the loss of false happiness that comfort provides. But what you gain is immeasurable. You gain control over yourself, and by extension, control over the world around you. The man who controls himself is immune to the manipulations that enslave others. He is not swayed by bribes of pleasure, nor broken by threats of pain. He becomes untouchable, for nothing external can conquer the one who has already conquered himself. This is why discipline is feared and despised. Most men mock it, call it excessive, call it madness, because it exposes their own weakness. They cannot endure the hardships that discipline demands, so they convince themselves that such sacrifice is unnecessary. They cling to the illusion that greatness can be achieved without pain, that strength can be gained without suffering. But every truth of history proves otherwise. The conquerors, the rulers, the masters of men, they were not made by indulgence. They were shaped by the fire of hardship, by the iron of discipline, by the refusal to bend, even when every part of their being screamed for relief. The art of ruthless discipline is, therefore, not about balance but about domination. It is not about living moderately, but about living with purpose so fierce that all weakness is crushed underfoot. It demands that you make every action serve your rise, that every moment of your life becomes fuel for strength. To live without such discipline is to drift aimlessly, wasting time, wasting potential, wasting the only chance you have to ascend beyond mediocrity. But to embrace it is to sharpen yourself into something no longer human, something relentless, unyielding, and impossible to break. Finally, follow the path beyond humanity. There comes a point on the road of strength where discipline, cunning, and control over fear and desire are no longer enough. These are the foundations, but they still exist within the realm of what men can achieve. To become something greater, something untouchable, one must step beyond humanity itself. The path beyond humanity is not about abandoning flesh or rising into myth. It is about cutting away the fragile needs that define ordinary men. Approval, affection, pity, belonging. These are the chains that bind the human spirit and keep it tethered to weakness. To transcend them is to break free from the prison of being human. The first chain is the need for approval. Ordinary men crave recognition, applause, the validation of others to prove to themselves that they matter. They measure their worth by the opinions of the crowd, begging silently for acknowledgement. This is slavery. When your sense of self depends on others, you are already under their control. To walk beyond humanity, you must sever this need entirely. Whether they praise you or condemn you, whether they adore you or despise you, it must mean nothing. Approval is the leash that tames lions into circus performers. The man who no longer seeks it cannot be led, cannot be bribed, cannot be broken by the silence of indifference. He exists above the judgments of others, and in that solitude lies his invincibility. The second chain is affection. Men long for love, for companionship, for the warmth of belonging. They believe it makes them stronger, but in truth, it makes them vulnerable. What you love can be used against you. What you cling to can be taken from you. To love without measure is to hand the knife to your enemy and beg him not to use it. The path beyond humanity demands that you master this weakness. It does not mean rejecting all bonds, but it does mean refusing to be enslaved by them. To rise above, you must be willing to lose anyone and anything without losing yourself. Only then can you stand alone without trembling. The third chain is pity. Ordinary men are ruled by their sympathy, moved by the suffering of others, persuaded to act against their own interest for the sake of compassion. But pity is a weapon, wielded by the weak to bend the strong. They will display their suffering to manipulate you, to chain your will with guilt. To go beyond humanity is to strip yourself of this vulnerability. Compassion may exist as a mask, a tool to win loyalty when it suits you. But it must never govern your actions. If you allow pity to guide you, you will make decisions that serve others at the cost of yourself, and such weakness will be exploited until you are undone. The final chain is the longing for belonging. Most men cannot endure isolation. They seek tribes, communities, nations, identities larger than themselves to hide from the terror of standing alone. But belonging demands conformity, and conformity demands obedience. To belong is to surrender your sovereignty in exchange for acceptance. The path beyond humanity demands that you walk alone, that you embrace the solitude others fear. For in that solitude lies freedom, the freedom to shape yourself without compromise, to rule yourself without interference, to exist without bending to the will of the herd. The path beyond humanity is brutal, for it requires you to discard what most men cling to as the very essence of life. You must learn to see approval as meaningless, affection as a risk, pity as a trap, and belonging as a cage. This detachment will terrify you at first, for it strips away every comfort that humanity offers. But once you endure it, once you step into that cold, silent place beyond these needs, you will find a strength that ordinary men cannot comprehend. You will no longer be bound by fear of rejection, by the loss of love, by the cries of the suffering, or by the loneliness of standing apart. You will be free to act with pure will, free to take without hesitation, free to command without compromise. Those who remain human will hate you for this. They will call you ruthless, cruel, heartless, inhuman, and they will be right. But in that inhumanity lies your advantage. For while they weep, you will act. While they hesitate, you will strike. While they cling to their chains, you will walk unbound. And in that freedom, you will find not only strength but dominion, the ability to shape the world as you see fit, while the rest remain trapped within their fragile humanity. You have now seen the hidden path, the one most men will never dare to walk. They will cling to morality, thinking it will protect them. They will surrender to fear and desire, never realizing those are the chains that enslave them. They will live without masks, exposing themselves to betrayal. They will reject discipline, feeding on comfort until they rot. And they will forever remain human, fragile and bound, begging for approval, pity, and belonging. But you have glimpsed what lies beyond. You now know that strength is not given, it is forged, and that to rise above humanity is to strip away everything that makes men weak. This knowledge is dangerous. It can change you, transform you, separate you from the herd that spends its life asleep. But it is also power. Power to shape yourself, power to bend others, power to endure when all others break. The question is, will you use it? If you are ready to keep walking this path, if you want to uncover more truths that the weak cannot bear to hear, then stay close. Subscribe now, because the stories to come will not simply entertain you. They will arm you with the weapons to become untouchable.